and our blog at Eve Prosper.
Welcome back. We are on set with two distinguished guests, CCP Larrikin and CCP Lebowski.
Hey.
G'day.
Hey.
Good to be on the show, right?
Yeah, it's an honor, a privilege.
Yeah.
Actually.
And we have a lot of good people on Twitch chat who are saying hi to us right now, and
Hello,
we're
Twitch
saying hi to them. And we're gonna do a live demo of some very cool Capital stuff that you guys have been working on.
Yeah. In fact, CCP Lebowski and CCP Masterplan showed this off at EVE-NT.
To a small group of exclusive pilots who attended that.
Yeah, incredibly,
That's right, yeah,
incredibly
yeah.
exclusive.
Yeah.
They got a sneak preview of this stuff, yeah.
And now we're going to show it to everyone who is smart enough to be watching the 07 show.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
All right, so what are we flying here?
So we're flying a Hell, which is the best supercarrier, Minmatar supercarrier, and
So we've got it all painted up here nicely as well.
looks
of course.
great.
Absolutely. So what we're going to start off with is just showing you sort of the fighter management, the fighter deck, and the fighter launch tubes.
Okay.
So, first of all, we'll just bring up this, and you'll see this has a new section here called the Fighter Bay. And here in this window, you have your 5 launch tubes that a supercarrier will have.
So supercarriers have 5 launch tubes, and regular carriers will only have 3 launch tubes. And they can launch a mix of different types of fighters. So we have 3 different types of fighters: light fighters, support fighters, and heavy fighters. Light fighters are sort of your generic damage fighters. They also specialize in shooting down other fighters. Support fighters give you the traditional electronic warfare roles, while heavy fighters are obviously the heavy hitters, which is why they're called heavy fighters.
So what we can do with these now is loading up these bays is just as simple as doing this.
Drag and drop.
Just drop these on here. We're going to try and give all the options here, like trying to have them as you'd expect. So you'd have all the options like right-click options and drag options, everything you'd expect from an EVE experience. So we can load those up here. As you can see, they just loaded one by one, and they kind of depleted the stack. And we can show you that again. We'll just drop another pile on here.
So you shouldn't pay too much attention to the size of the fighters and the size of the hangar bay. These are all just work in progress, guys. Don't read too much into this. We want to give you a demonstration of the gameplay here.
Exactly, and to note, this is on an internal test server right now, with all functional, of course. But there's going to be changes made, and this is going to get into your hands soon.
Yes.
On the public test server Singularity, where you can play with it and give us your expert feedback.
So we've had some internal playtests recently that have gone reasonably well, given us a lot of information. So we're now really excited to.
Yeah, we had a playtest with the CSM.
We did.
Yeah, both the ones that attended here and the ones playing remotely.
Yeah. They had lots of good feedback, lots of good suggestions, and the feedback that we got from them was that they really enjoyed it. So.
Yeah.
So you can see down here, in place of where you would normally think of the place for your modules, you have these UI elements for the fighters. Now this is actually toggleable at the moment, so you can see just behind here is your normal modules.
Okay.
This will be detachable so that people can have both of them up at once, but we wanted to have it toggleable. So if you have a very small screen, you can still use these fighters. You can still use this. So you can see here, here's the 3 squadrons we've loaded up. And what we can do now is we can either drag these up here, or we could also just press this button, and we can launch some squads.
Oh, that's awesome.
Woohoo! Fighter squadrons in space.
They're in space.
So
I like
you can see them here. You can see that they're numbered based on your squadron number, so you can see at a glance which ones are yours. And if we zoom out a little bit, you'll see we've got some toys to play with.
Some targets we put out. We prepared earlier.
Nice. All right.
So we can go through some of these. So let's have a look here. So this is one of your kind of general purpose light fighters. Do you want to kind of touch on what they do?
So the general purpose light fighters, they've got just a generic attack ability as well as a micro warp drive, and it's up to you to determine when that micro warp drive goes on. And in fact, CCP Lebowski will probably demonstrate right now. You can give them instructions to go to a point in space.
Yeah, so that's actually a new thing we're adding for these fighters. So if I select one of them here and I use the hotkey, this is the work in progress UI for this. So you can see you can click out in a direction, and then once you click once, you can then give them a vertical order. And then if I click there, you'll see this little squadron. There he goes. So now he's off up there.
Very geometrical. I like it.
And the idea with this is that hopefully we're going to be able to allow people to do some very tactical positioning of these fighters, maybe avoid some some high-hitting targets that they don't want to get in range of.
Yeah. They can go around like someone with smart bombs and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
in fact, the second fighter squadron you can see there, I think they're the Equites there. They're another type of light fighter squadron, and they're specifically designed to go shooting down enemy fighter squadrons.
So we can probably actually illustrate that here quite nicely. So we can get this guy, like you said, like Larrikin said, these are the anti-fighter ones. So if we get him to attack this big ship here, you'll see he's not really going to do much to that.
He's only doing 83 damage a volley, which isn't very much.
That's going to take a while.
Yeah.
But if, for example, we attacked these guys over here, which are
An
our own
enemy
guys.
fighter squad. Oh, wait.
They're actually
friendly
our own,
fighter
but,
squad.
Not
but,
anymore. Not friendly anymore.
all's fair in love and war,
Used to
as
be
they
friends.
say. So
They'll probably be out of range. That's fine. So these light fighters also have a second ability. All of the fighter squadrons have some sort of propulsion ability, like a micro warp drive, a micro jump drive, or in this case with the Equites, they have an ability that makes them, it's kind of like an afterburner, but it also decreases their signature radius and gives them a bunch of resists. Makes them very hard to kill when they've got that on.
So it's a short duration, a reasonably short duration, and then it's got a cooldown on this.
Yes,
module
that's
as well.
correct.
So yeah, you have to kind of tactically think about where you're going to use that. So now that he's in range, let's just activate this again. And you can see there we are. Now he's hitting pretty hard.
You can also
Nice.
see the UI that we get when fighter squadrons get damaged. You can see each individual fighter takes damage and then finally explode. They're red when they're damaged.
And these tooltips are a work in progress at this point, I should say. So these are still going to be changing, but you can see the basic principle here. We've got the number of healthy fighters in the squadron and the one that's currently being damaged. And this is the way that the damage is going to work with these fighter squadrons now as well. So you'll always be damaging the top fighter in the squadron essentially. Once that guy's down, the squadron gets a little bit smaller. Their power gets a little bit smaller, so their guns
They
don't
do
hit
less
as hard.
damage.
Exactly.
All that stuff.
So that all goes down, and you can see these are depleting here, and this is obviously represented because this is our fighter we're shooting. You can also see. I don't know why I'm pointing at the screen. People can't see that.
Yeah, I really, I
see
really
here.
like this. Like thinking of the whole, the squadron as a unit rather than having all these little individual drones to interact with specifically.
So
right, yeah.
that becomes really important, especially with the electronic warfare fighters. I'm not sure if we've
Let's have a look.
got any. We don't, but that's fine. So, for example, there's Webifying fighters, and when you launch those, they originally have 3 fighters, but when one dies, then their Webifying effect is only like 2/3 as strong. So killing off fighters makes them weaker. Very
So actually, we've got that
yeah,
here. You
makes
can
makes
see
a
that.
lot of sense.
Oh, we
Makes a
do
lot of
have
sense.
them. There we go.
And now the counterpoint to the thing we were saying before about the fighters that are very good at fighting fighters, we also have guys that are rather good at fighting bigger targets. So if we use this guy, which is the Malleus or the Mollius,
Malleus, Malleus.
we're going to bring him over here.
So the Malleus is currently a fighter bomber, and fighter bombers are going to be transitioning into heavy fighters. And we're going to release a devlog that will go into those details and exactly how that transition will happen.
So you can see there, same kind of idea. He's not doing too much damage to this guy here. If we target this nice new Force Auxiliary,
Okay.
and then we have a go at hitting that, let's see what kind of damage we can get out of that. So there we are.
Ah,
Only doing decent damage.
that's pretty good damage.
People might have also noticed here that this top ability, which we haven't mentioned yet, has a kind of a familiar charge count on there. So this is like a special ability. Quite a few different fighters have
Yes.
charged abilities or abilities with charges. They don't actually use physical ammo, but what it means is you're limited to how many of those you can activate before it has to come back and reload. So we can see we can activate this here on this guy. This is going to do a whole ton of damage. Yeah. It's a big hitter, and then that depletes. And once it's down to 0, you'd have to bring him back in, rearm him before you send it back out.
yeah.
You'd really want to take these out before they get too close, I think.
Yes, you will. And the cycle time on them is fairly long, but if you get you and a whole bunch of your buddies, you're going to be able to do some serious damage to targets. Now, obviously, we're shooting unmanned ships and without any mods, so they don't have any resistances. But yeah, they can be quite powerful.
It's brilliant, brilliant. That's awesome stuff. So,
Do you want to I was going to say, do you want to show multi-select so we can show the different multi-select and sending several squadrons orders?
That's very true. So what we can do is just select all these. You can see these are now selected with the white box around them. And then, for example, we could select a target and we could press F1. that will then activate, or those fighters will then attempt to activate that ability on the target that you've given. So this means you can select groups of them, and you can activate all their propulsion modes at once. Or, for example, you could again use this multi-move, and you can send all your squadrons off at once. There you go. They're all
F2. They'll all go super fast.
Yeah. So there they are. Apart from that, yeah, there we go. One of them. This one's still in cooldown. So yeah, and then as you'd imagine, recalling them works very similar. We can pull that down there, or we can click here. They'll then start coming back to the carrier.
Very nice, very nice. Very nice. Good work, guys.
So we're not quite finished off. Finishing showing you some shiny toys.
Okay, so what more do we have?
Well, we thought the Titan pilots might want to see a little bit of the bling that they've got coming up. So CCP Lebowski is just going to flip over to the Titan that we had prepared for this situation.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see how that goes.
See if we can jump out of the ship just now, and we'll nip on over here. Don't mind this.
Just pretend you didn't see the dev hacks.
exactly.
That didn't happen.
We've got the perk